Hey there, welcome to our inaugural edition of Underrated Albums, where we're going to talk about albums that either didn't sell well enough and or were critically maligned and the fans ignored, even though, in my opinion, they were stellar albums. And we're going to kick things off this episode with Ireland's greatest export, Thin Lizzy, and their Chinatown opus. So how we're going to attack these episodes is we're going to go through chronologically the band's recording history leading up to the album in question, and we'll throw in snippets of songs along the way so you understand the sound evolution of the band. And then when we get to the album itself, we'll spend more time on that, obviously, and have a few more sound bites from the songs there so you get a true understanding of the sound of the album. So let's get into it. Okay, so a little background first. Thin Lizzy was formed in 1969. You got Phil Lynott on bass, Brian Downey on drums, and Eric Bell on guitars. And just 2 short years later, they issued their inauspicious self-titled debut, and it's just awful. The only thing I could say, it's way too mellow. It's almost art rock. It's from a rock perspective, it's just terrible. It's more for the beret-wearing folks that go to museums on Friday nights. Don't believe me? Listen to this.
The friendly ranger paused, and scooping a bowl of beans, spreading them like stars, falling like justice on different scenes. I'm damned, indeed, comrade, I'm being bombed, and all the people's faces turn strawberry blonde. By the morning gate, the friendly ranger waits.
Yeah, it was I told you so. So in 72 and 73, out comes the next 2 albums. Shades of a Blue Orphanage and Vagabonds of the Western World. So a little bit better, but again, just too damn eclectic for the general rock fan. They mix in funk, Celtic, Motown, psychedelic, progressive elements. It's just like, pick a sound, guys. So altogether, the first 3 albums, not very good. But then in 1974, out goes Eric Bell, and in comes 2 new guitarists, those being Scott Gorham and Brian Robertson, for their first album together, Nightlife. And the band here, so obviously Lynott here, Downey, Robertson, and Gorham. An improvement, as I said, still not great. The opener, She Knows, is a good southern rock track, actually. And then the other highlight is Shalala at the end, some funky rock there. So again, still eclectic and not bang on, but definitely a move in the right direction. So then the following year, in 75, out comes Fighting, and that's where the band, in my opinion, really finds their sound with the dual melodic guitars and Lynott's really strong vocals and storytelling. There's the catchy opener, Rosalie, and the funky headbang of Suicide highlights there. But then the band comes with their biggest seller here, Jailbreak. You can see the band breaking out there and the band in action. So of course, this album is the top selling of their repertoire because of the opener Jailbreak, and their other big hit, The Boys Are Back in Town, are here on this album. But then there's also deeper cuts like Warriors and their ultra catchy Cowboy song. Really love that one. And one of my faves of all time from the band, Emerald, closes out this album.
To the towns where there was plenty, they brought plunder, swords, and flame. When they left, the town was empty, and children would never play again.
with Johnny the Fox. In my opinion, a big step down from the previous Jailbreak. I know some people love this album, not me. As regular listeners know, I'm a headbanger, not too big into the progressive climbs, so this is a little too eclectic for my taste. There's some good stuff in here. Don't get me wrong. Rocky, Don't Believe a Word, and Massacre are the highlights for me, but definitely a step down. But then the following year, they right the ship with Bad Reputation. See the band there. Now the first side of this is just really strong. Soldier of Fortune, Bad Reputation, Opium Trail, and Southbound, all on that side one. Excellent. And then there's also Killer Without a Cause. So as I said, they right the ship here. But then they take a little bit of a hiatus, and 2 years later they come out with Black Rose, and out is Brian Robertson, and in is Gary Moore. So another good album here, slightly less consistent than the previous album, Bad Reputation, but there's some great stuff here. Do Anything You Want To, Gotta Give It Up, but unquestionably the best song on this is the title track, Black Rose, an amazing, amazing track. Which takes us up to 1980 for the subject of our discussion today. 1980s Chinatown. You can see the back cover really good too. Good artwork all around. So at this point, out is Gary Moore and in is Snowy White. So the band's fortunes in the U.S. had been declining steadily. Jailbreak hitting number 18, and then the band's position on the charts in the States declining steadily to number 81 for Black Rose. That being said, though, in the UK, they were still big business. In fact, Black Rose hit number 2 on their charts. Problem was North America. So, unsurprising, the band took a tougher stance on Chinatown. The sound maybe influenced, as many bands were, by the new wave of British heavy metal. A lot of the older bands toughening up their sound, as found on Chinatown. So I'm going to go on record and say that side 1 of this album is the best side of Thin Lizzy up to that point. I know many people will scoff at it, but let's go through them. First off, we have We Will Be Strong, which has a great chorus, memorable, and line it really telling the tough street story.
We will be strong. I know we have the strength to carry on the strength. I know my rights from all my rights. I know you lost, I won. We will be stronger. We will be strong and get stronger every day. Believe me when I say it. There is no other way. No other way. You crown.
Next up, the dramatic title track, here driven by the rhythm section. Just amazing rhythm work here by Downey and Lynott. And Lynott again talking about the tough times on the street.
Living and dying in Chinatown. Yes, they're living and dying down in old Chinatown. In Chinatown, you better look around. Man, you don't stand a chance if you go down in Chinatown.
So next up is the mid-tempo rocker Sweetheart, and the highlight here being the dual guitar work from Snowy White and Scott Gorham. Just amazing stuff.
Sweetheart, it's effective. Sweetheart, it's so effective. Sweetheart. sacred sweetheart. If I told you about my friend, would you?
Next up, the Sugar Blues, where the band cranks up the speed a bit, and Lynott gives us some insight into his addictions.
Oh, that sugar, it adds a little sweetness into your life. Oh, sugar, won't you add a little sweetness to my life? You see, I'm changing my point of view ever since I caught with the sugar blues.
And complete side one on a confident, hard rocking note with the lethal and lurking Killer on the Loose.
Some people they call me Jack. Some people they call me insane.
So there you have it, side one of Chinatown, what I consider to be one of the greatest sides of melodic hard rock. And in fact, actually, side two is pretty good. It starts off really strong with having a good time, Night on the Town ditty. And then there's Genocide, Killing of the Buffalo, subject matter obvious there. Now, the final two tracks don't live up to the same standard as the previous seven, but still pretty good stuff. There's Didn't I, which is a string accompanied track that brings down aggression levels a bit, and Hey You, mid-tempo rocker. So altogether, the strength of this album to me is its lack of diversity. I know a lot of the old-time fans will say, well, what the hell, that's what made Thin Lizzy so great. Well, not to me. As I said, I'm more into the straightforward hard rock, heavy metal stuff, and this plays right into my hands, in my opinion. In that they just focused on the hard rock. Now, in my opinion, I give this a 9 out of 10. Unfortunately, a lot of people in North America don't see it that way, hence why it's underrated. It landed at 120 on the US charts, and even in the UK, it saw a little bit of a dip. It was, whereas it was number 2 for the previous Black Rose, it landed at number 7 in the UK. But regardless, forget them. All you hard rockers and heavy metalers out there, give this album a chance. Amazing, amazing album. Enjoy.
Living the dying in Chinatown. Yes, they're living and dying down in old Chinatown. In Chinatown, you better look around. Man, you don't stand a chance if you go.